according to reports, it's pretty much down to two finalists, it feels like, between Marc Bergevin and Mathieu Darche for this GM job. Sarah Volley tweeted that out earlier in the week.
Yeah, no one leads, I guess, in the odds, although I doubt you can get odds. I'm not even going to look it up. There's no way you're going to get odds.
Was it Poshmark or whatever it's called?
Maybe. I'll look it up. I'll try to look it up. Islanders GM, next GM odds. Oops. I doubt we're going to get odds for that, but like actual betting odds. But no, nothing is coming up, of course, obviously. But either one, I think, is a decent enough candidate. Everyone's going to have their particular gripe with one or the other. Like Marc Bergevin, I keep saying Marc Bergevin, not the strongest drafting record, which kind of sucks when you're juxtaposing what he's stepping into, right? Where the draft, this one specifically, is wildly important for the Islanders. They've got to get that number one overall and knock it out of the park. And they have no time for games, which he has done at the draft.
Yeah, he definitely has. And with the number one pick, I don't think you're playing games. Like, we've discussed a little bit about the idea of trading back. And that, I think, is easier said than done. And it's probably better in theory than just talking through than the likelihood of that actually happening. But I was trying to get the pulse of the fan base today because it's been, talked about for a while. So I made up, a couple graphics and put it out on our socials. So if you're not following at Up the Turnpike on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as, we're here on YouTube and on Patreon too. And kind of just went through like the resumes of each guys and made a graphic for each. It was like, who do you want? And I think most people said Mathieu Darche, but there's a decent chunk that would be okay with Bergevin as well.
Yeah, I think you can't, almost like this first overall pick, you can't get it wrong, although we just kind of said with Bergevin, you can't play games. Bergevin, again, not the greatest drafting record, but a strong GM in his own right, has made strong moves and aggressive moves to retool his team. Maybe it didn't work under his stewardship, but he did make a Stanley Cup final. Of course, it was COVID, so if you want to put an asterisk to that, go ahead. He's learned a few things, obviously, in LA that has made him an attractive candidate going forward. He was an attractive candidate from Montreal. Although he was in the, under the Chicago umbrella. So like there's perhaps some tomfoolery there as well. But then you have Mathieu Darche, who has never done it before, but checks all the boxes, it seems. Has his hands in everything: cap management, drafting, development, trading, all of it. And it does it in a program that has gone to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, winning 2 of them, and is a perennial contender every year. And making some really shrewd moves to being able, allowing them to do that.
Yeah, and extending their window, right? Like we talked about when this first came out, that why we would like him as a candidate, and then talking through just some of the finalists and some names that were circulating. They had maybe after making it to the Cup final and losing, they still made the playoffs the next 2 years, but quick exits. This year, I know, kind of same thing. They got bounced in the first round. They lost to Florida, the previous Stanley Cup champions, and very well could be going to another Stanley Cup here in just a few days. But moral of the story is, after 2 down-ish years, I'm saying in air quotes, they were right back to being a contender. A lot of people picked them to go far in the playoffs this year. I think a lot of people thought whoever was coming out of that Tampa Florida series might end up winning the whole damn thing, and I think that's what we're going to get here. Spoiler alert. But again, like, it's risky because he hasn't done the job, right? Like, under that title yet. But for his track record, it's hard to find someone else who hasn't made that step to general manager that is more qualified or has more experience than that.
Yeah, of course, he's not the guy making the final decision, so you never know exactly what he's responsible for, but he's got a hand in all of it. A hand in bringing in a guy like Brandon Hagel, who was second on the team in scoring with 90 points and 35 goals. A guy that they pulled out of Chicago for not a whole heck of a lot. So good identifying of talent. Great in finding talent in free agency with Jake Gensel. Of course, how much does the no tax situation in Florida benefit them, and how much would that hinder him in New York that has relatively high taxes? Or even finding guys like they brought in Yanni Gourde, 14 points in 21 games. Yanni Gourde did. That's as like a third line center. That's insane. Of course, they knew what they were getting because he's played for them before, but was able to acquire him. And same thing with Ryan McDonough. He's 35, but like they got a good one in him. 31 points, but a plus 43. That's insane. A plus 43 led the league right there. And just really strong play defensively and just rounding out that team. So he's not only able to find these really big, almost stars to plug into the lineup, it's backfilling from there with enough talent to make them competitive, again, not only in the regular season, which I believe is wildly more important, and then being good in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, and that obviously is important. So maybe we'll get an announcement at some point this week. It's getting late in the week now as we're recording on Wednesday night, but it's certainly possible things move quickly.
If you like that, make sure to subscribe to Up the Turnpike on Patreon for more exclusive New York Islanders content.